Hi everyone, welcome to Techie World. So today I'll take you through the concept of encapsulation in Java. So what exactly is the encapsulation? We'll try to understand. We'll see a few examples. So let's straight away jump to the topic. So what exactly is the encapsulation? So the very first point you must remember about the encapsulation is one of the four fundamental concept of the OOPS programming, that is object oriented programming. Okay. What are the other three? One is encapsulation. What are the other three? Other three are inheritance, abstraction, and polymorphism. Okay. Now let's get back to encapsulation in Java. So what exactly is encapsulation in Java? Encapsulation is a kind of practice in which you actually combine or bundles the data, that is the attributes, I mean the variables that you have in the class, and the methods which are actually operating on those data into a single unit, and that single unit is called as classes in Java. Okay. So why encapsulation is required? Encapsulation is required because you write a class, you write the methods in that, you write the variables in that. So with the class, when you are writing everything under the class, you actually restricting the direct access of these component of the classes, right? So let us say you have written a class student, right? And in that student, there is a student name and a student age. Now someone is trying to set the data for a student age, and they are trying to set the negative value or rather zero value, right? For the student age. So if you provide unrestricted access to these variables, it may be difficult to manage that. But if you provide the restricted access and you follow the concept of encapsulation, then you can restrict what value they can enter for the age. Like it must be a positive value, right? We'll see this in an example. We have a pseudocode for that. Okay. Let's focus on the theoretical part about the encapsulation first, and then we'll see the benefits of the encapsulation, and then we'll see the code. Okay. Now, let's try to understand encapsulation with this image here. Okay. So this image that you see here, you have the class, you have the methods, you have the variables. Now, methods and variables are combined together with the help of a capsule. I mean, in the form of a capsule, right? And the capsule itself is called as classes. And this concept is called as encapsulation in Java. Okay. So this way you are restricting the access to variables and methods freely, right? It must be going through the classes. Okay. So let us say there are some classes or there are some fields for which you don't want anyone to set the data. What you will do then? You will not provide the setters. You will only provide the getter method, right? They can only get the value of that particular variable, but they will never be able to set the value. There is another picture here that you can see. It's the same thing. Like you have variables and data, and you have the methods. And this capsule, which is combining methods and variables, is called as class. And this entire process is encapsulation in Java. Now, let's have a look on some of the theoretical parts about encapsulation in Java. Okay. So, what is encapsulation in Java? The very first point is encapsulation is one of the four fundamental principles of the OOPS programming. This I already told you, right? What are the other three? Abstraction, inheritance, polymorphism, and this is the fourth one called encapsulation in Java. The second point about encapsulation in Java is encapsulation refers to the bundling of the data, that is attributes of a class, and methods, that is functions which performs some task, and it the functions actually operates on the data that is already there in the class, right, into a single unit called as class. Okay. Now the third point I already told you, that it restricts the direct access to some of the object component, providing controlled access through the methods. What does this mean? I already told you. Let us say you have a student class. In a student class, you have few variables and you have the student age also, right? Now, what is required? Someone is trying to set the student age as negative. So in the setter method, what you can do, you can place a condition like if the age is greater than 0, then only you can place the order. I mean, you can set the value, right? So this kind of restricted access can be provided with the help of encapsulation in Java. The last point about encapsulation in Java is it focuses on what rather than how. Okay, what does this mean? This means whatever you are trying to do, it should be done, right? But how it is being done, that should be controlled by the classes or the someone who is writing the classes, right? Age should be set to something, but how it should be set, what are the acceptable values for age, that must be decided by the programmer, or rather must be decided by the concept of encapsulation in Java. Okay, so what are the benefits of encapsulation in Java? So let us say when we code, we write a class, we write a member of the classes, that is variables and methods, right? So by writing the class as private, right, or rather final, any member of that class can be inherited? No, right? So inheritance can be restricted by adding the final keyword in the class. So basically, when you are inherit and you are restricting the inheritance, what you are doing, you are protecting the data of that particular class, whatever data is there in that class, right? You can make it private, you can make it final, and that data is safe. It doesn't have any unauthorized access, right? So the very first point about benefit of encapsulation is data protection. What does data protection means? It means encapsulation prevents unauthorized access to the data, reducing the chances of interference in the code, right? The second point about benefit of encapsulation in Java is modularity. What does modularity mean in Java? It means you have small different module in your project, right? You have different classes in your project. So it is kind of a small module which is performing some task. So let us say if you want to change something in a particular class, then only that class will be affected, not the entire code, right? You just check whether there is a contract between you, the method written in this class, to the outside world or not, and then based on that, you can maintain this module. If required, you can change it. Okay, that is basically the modularity. By hiding the internal implementation detail of the class, you can change the internal representation without affecting other part of the code, right? Now the second point is a third point about benefit of encapsulation is related to the same, related to the modularity. The third point is flexibility. So since you know that your application is designed in a module kind of module system, right? You have a different classes. So since you have a different classes, you have the flexibility to internally change the implementation or rather add something if required. Okay, so that's the third point about benefits of the encapsulation in Java, which is flexibility. Here you can see we can modify the internal implementation of class without affecting the code using that class, as long as public interface remains the same. What does that mean? Public interface remains the same. It means if there is some classes which are actually using the method written in the class in which you are modifying, then there may be a problem. Okay, so that's the point. Now, the fourth point about benefit of encapsulation in Java is code maintenance. So your maintenance of the code becomes very easy when it comes to encapsulation. How does that work? So basically, when you write a class, you write the methods and variables inside that class, right? So let us say you have written some members there. Okay, let's say it's a variable, simple variable int a equal to something or 10. Okay, now let us say there are some requirement where the value of the that particular uh, variable not should be not 10 but 20. I'm just taking an example. I mean, we don't hard code the values in the application, but still. So you can just simply go to that class and change that value rather than writing all the variables at one place, right? If you don't have the concept of class, what you will be doing? You'll be writing all the variables at one place, right? So it will be difficult to maintain. That's why encapsulation helps us in maintaining the code neatly Okay. So that's the point about code maintenance in Java. So you can see encapsulation makes code easier to maintain and understand because you only need to focus on the public methods and their contracts. Okay. Now, what does that last line means? You only need to focus on the public method and their contracts. It simply means that let us say you have written some public method, okay, in the class, and you are changing something. So since this is a public method, it might have been used in some other classes. So whenever you are changing something in the code, you need to take care of that, right? Wherever it is being used, you need to take care of that. If like let's say you are changing the method argument, so you need to take care of that in the classes where it is being called, right? Okay. The last point about benefit of encapsulation in Java is security. So since you are bundling your variables, your methods into one single unit that is called as class, it actually secures your data, which might be contained by the variables. And the data that comes to the variable is ultimately will be used with the by the methods. Okay. So that's why encapsulation also help us in securing our application or rather securing our data. Okay. So that's what security, the last point about the benefit of encapsulation in Java. Critical data can be hidden from the outside world and accessed only through the controlled method. Now let's have a look on some pseudocode which will explain the encapsulation in a better way. Okay. So in the encapsulation in Java hands-on, we'll see some piece of the code which will explain encapsulation in a better way. So let us say you have a class student and you have two variables there, string name and int age. Now you have written setters and getters here. If you see on the both side, you have written setters and getters. Now let us say you are trying to create the object of the student, okay, or rather you are trying to uh, set some value to the name and age. Now, as you can see in the student set name, what you are doing, you are actually checking new name should not be equal to null and the new name should not be empty. And then only we'll set the value of the name, right? So you can see you are providing controlled access to the name variable here. Same goes for the age. So if you're setting the age here on the right hand side, if you can see, you are checking the age must be greater than equal to 0. Then only you set the age to the new age, right? So that's how you are controlling the data and its uses by the help with the help of encapsulation in Java. So that's all about encapsulation in Java. If you want the code and the notes shown in this video, please do comment your email ID and you will get this within 24 hours. Also, I'll be posting more such informative video on this channel. So if you found this video helpful, please do like, share and subscribe. Thank you. Bye bye. Take care.